Today, we're joined with the team behind CINEMAATTIC, Alberto and Rafael. Thank you guys so much for coming today.
Thank you for having us, Amanda.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about CINEMAATTIC and how it all began. You've been around for about 10 years, right?
That's right. Just as a bit of linking, we were listening just Minor Drag by Fats Water, which was the song we were saying, but we both have some background, and we used to do radio back in the day.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was like a nice bridge. I used to do a radio magazine called Calamari Union, inspired by, Aki Kaurismäki's Calamari Union. And I think that is a lot of what we're going to talk in the next half an hour or so about our idea of films that matters, the kind of films we stand for. They normally have elements of absurd, have political elements in the form and in the subject, and there's an element of almost cabaret or circus in what we do. But in terms of how everything started very spontaneously, in an attic.
Yes, well, the CINEMAATTIC started with a different crew many years ago. I used to have my own cine club called Todos al Cine, the last Thursday of every month. And, well, I met them, we did something together. Eventually, Carlos decided to go back to Spain, and that team started to dismantle. So, well, we took over slowly, about 6 years ago maybe, and decided to give it a bit more continuity, more regularity, rather be there every month, be there in more places, and do bigger, more events. So, well, that was our course, that was our scene, and that's where we are right now.
Exactly. And I think those elements that started CINEMAATTIC back in the day, which is the way cinema started, like people gathering in the back of a bar, like the Lumiere brothers and everything, that's there. The social element is very present in our film nights. Is highly important for us, that social component. And we try to bring, I'll say, films that very rarely find UK distribution, films that matter. Sometimes are like festival hits. Some are just films that we don't understand why don't have a UK distribution, and we bridge, or we try to fill that.
Well, we don't trust the opinion of many festivals. We have our own. And for definite, we put films that provoke a thought, a conversation, so people are not left idle. They need to talk to the person next to them and discuss the subjects of the film, and we fancy ourselves as making a better world than doing that.
And I guess it's time to touch on the short film element, because obviously we're well known for being, like the short film guys, in a way, or the Spanish short film nights, and that was at the beginning. We strongly advocate storytelling in all forms, all lengths, but we're particularly keen with short film, and we stand for the originality and the value of short film as an original art form. We do short film nights every month. That's what we're well known for, but we love cinema, so particularly in the last 2 years we've been more fluid with this idea of nationalities, lengths. We like independent films. We know a little bit more about those coming from...
Well, something that regulars of CINEMAATTIC know about us is that Alberto likes talking a lot more than I do. So we prepare for that. Short film is the beginning of everything. The beginning of cinema is a 12-minute track, cartridge, better said, in a camera, no editing suite, nothing. Just press play, pause it, continue, and finish it. And I think short film has still all the magic, all the mystery, and all the resource, the gaps it leaves in the narrative timeline that needs to be filled by the audience individually, but whatever each spectator comes to the cinema within their head. So it's a magic format, and we certainly love it, and we will never give it up.
You guys do so many different kinds of events, but a lot of it revolves around this pop-up sort of, music and food, and there's this energy there I love every time I go. Talk a little bit about your philosophy in that way.
Yeah, and I guess it's back to that. I think Rafa and I are very different. We have different ideas of maybe what we want to do with Cinemaattic, but there is something very, very organic in the base, in the grounds that I think we share. We're all about people, or, maybe quoting Agnès Varda, we're driven, we're focused in people. We like people, we like to meet people, we like the human connections that can happen around films. And we do it for a feeling. We're well known, or maybe we won't be the most successful business model, but we do it, and what we try to build with those nights is get a special atmosphere, a special feeling that night. So yeah, we put some food together.
The reality is, there's only one microphone for Alberto and me in this studio, so this is gonna get hot. No, the truth is, putting the word cinematic and business model together is like trying to put a couple of guns to a figure of. Let's not go to the church, but yes, it doesn't work. One of the driving forces in cinematic, or something that keep us going, is the lack of good, or the very few good films, in our opinion, that are shown in commercial cinemas. The few independent cinemas have turned into a kind of elite intellectual corners where many people feel alienated. So those who like cinema don't go to those places because they feel out of place, and that's an outcry. So Cinemaattic really goes to them, really doesn't have any problem turning up in a basement, in a church hall, in a library, anywhere, setting up our gear and giving a very good, or the best cinema experience we can offer. And yes, food, music, talking, comedy, and good films are always part of ingredients.
A lot of comedy, People start to some people said, we should do a break between the intro and the films, because it's becoming so long. It's becoming a good excuse for Rafa and I to improvise our stand-up comedy for the next Fringe.
But that wasn't in the plan.
No, but back to the question, Amanda. Absolutely. There is an element of us promoting films that could be considered niche or independent or authorial, auteur films, and bringing that in a very popular way for the people, not just for film buzz, or film freaks. We like to show these films to a wider audience, to not necessarily film critics. And normally to do that, or to connect, or just to survive, really, and to get enough people to keep paying the bills and everything, you need to be a bit creative. So we've been mixing that. We've been trying to sell the experience, build a kind of social night where film is the center, but there are other elements. So people often come, or some people might have come to have Estrella Galicia because they don't have many places where they can have, a beer like that.
Or a Cruz Campo.
Well, we don't do Cruz Campo, and we won't ever do it. but a lot of people came because of that, because it's maybe fun, or they like the social element, and discover short films, never exposed to a short film night before. And that's something that we're particularly proud of, bringing short film and independent films to a wider audience that normally will.
It's amazing that short films are really, really popular, and I think it gets, because you don't know what you're about to see, and so you're really trusting of your programmer like Cinemattic to give you something, and I think they sell out a lot, They're quite popular, right?
Yes. Well, there's one thing as well that is helping us, and it's what used to be a cultural movement where people going out and there will be so much culture outside, and it wasn't so much business driven. Now it's turning to a kind of a entertainment industry, and most people doesn't want to be part of it, mostly because you are at the wrong end of that industry, at the paying end. So when there are, obviously not only Cinemaattic, but there are so many organizations programming different events, where every single member of the public counts. Everybody feels great. Everybody likes to be part of it. And everybody likes to try something new. So I think we just create the right atmosphere, the right tone, the right line on business model again. And people feel comfortable and happy and proud of being part of something like Cinemaattic.
So you started in Edinburgh, but you also you're now in Glasgow and Manchester. Is there any difference in the you think about the audiences in different cities, like how they respond to the films that you program?
There is. To put it in context, like we would never thought this will turn into this, no? We were just, and when we started, you will go to Edinburgh Film Festival or tell people in the industry, hey, we do a Spanish short film night once a month, and everyone will be like, good luck with that, Let's see in 3 months if you still exist. And for instance, on Friday, we were doing a great collaboration in the portrait gallery with the guys of Nuriki, responding to the Warhol and Paolozzi exhibition. But at the same time, simultaneously, Rafa was there. I was doing a quite activist and political night, showing the documentary Las Sandinistas and contextualizing the current crisis happening in Nicaragua. And it was a sellout event in Lauriston Hall in Edinburgh as well. But then we were in London as well with our Basque Spring, with the team there in Stour Space in Hackney. So it's becoming that kind of, movement that we wanted it to be. We're quite cautious about making it sustainable in a way, because there is a lot of heat now coming from Bristol, for instance, a city that we think the format and the ethos fits perfectly, and they match, and all the elements. Normally we look at a team that can do and share the philosophy that we have, some links with the uni or with film studies, and a good venue. And obviously I think we found that. So for instance, Bristol should be starting after summer. Rafa's going this week to Manchester and Leeds as well.
Yes.
So it's taking all over UK, really.
Well, that Friday, as Alberto said, it was a great night, and having free cinematic events at the same time, different locations, was a great feeling. And Saturday on Glasgow as well. So we are actively looking for the right people to open the cinematic formula everywhere else. And it doesn't matter really if it's a great city like Bristol, or if it's a university somewhere in the middle of nowhere, or we don't care, but we would love people to dare to participate, and we certainly support them all the way.
Great. So tell me a little bit about, you had a really big spring, the Basque Spring. Tell me a little bit about that, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the future events you're doing.
Yeah. Normally, or in the last couple of years, we've been mixing, because normally we will be a short film, a monthly short film night. So every month we will come with a different proposal. Right. But in the last 2 years, we've been mixing that, stretching to see how much we can handle with retrospectives that can last a week, 10 days. And we thought that focusing in some of those peripheral cinema, or some of those regions, could have a value, and presenting Basque films that not many people might be aware that there are films filmed in Basque, made in Basque Country, will be there will be a value in that. So we try to bring the resources from private means, public institutions. This project, for instance, was waiting to happen for a couple of years. We tried to present it through 3 generations of Basque filmmakers, and we started pitching this last year to GFT, for instance, and this year we found the resources to do it. It happens that we have plenty of mad ideas and projects, roller disco screenings, political festivals,
they'll do it before we do it.
Outcast festivals, and particular projects, and they wait until the resources are there. So in the case of the Basque Spring, it became like we managed to get dates in several cities in UK. We had a lot of films that we wanted to share with the audience, and most of them were also have a dialogue between them, because they were touching in how violence has been affecting Basque society, and filmmakers portraying that. And particularly, I think there is a very interesting relationship between landscape, language, tradition, and how Basque filmmakers use that tradition to renovate and to innovate. So we've been showing those films here in Edinburgh, in Glasgow, but mixture of GFT and traditional cinemas, or art house cinemas, and pop-ups, culinary screenings. We were doing even, we were transforming Leith for a day in the old town of Bilbao, doing a Sunday of pinches and film. So it was a beautiful project to do, and it's finishing this week in Leeds and Manchester.
The truth is, But society are not affected by big issues that don't affect anybody else. It's more interesting the way they approach them. Alberto talks about the connection with the nature. Sometimes it's the disconnection, the progressive disconnection we are suffering all with nature, the solitude for society, the discrimination, some big issues that affect us all globally. But it's very interesting to see how a particular group of people, in this case was all the Basque people, looks into those issues and how they portray them. I think it's refreshing, and it helps alien people from that society to realize the problem can be sorted or can be shared or can be discussed. And that's probably the underlying driver in all these events.
So, you're not a festival, you're more of a like a continual, club of sorts. How do you, like, what's the benefits of that, and how with your audience and with what you can do and with that,
Amanda, we are a Waco cinema. A Waco cinema is a cinema with no walls, no postal address. But we will end up at this rhythm. We will end up having a regular program almost every day of the year.
Yeah.
In different places with different formats. Hopefully more appealing than current cinemas. The numbers are still going down, and I can tell that other platforms in Edinburgh, at least, New Ricky, Cinemaattic, Cinetopia, and a few others are getting more audience through the door than regular cinema. So probably we are getting to the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're experimenting definitely with, or if we have maybe an interesting element, is that kind of audience engagement proposal, which is terrible for a business plan, as we're saying again, but it's a commitment to experiment and to see how that affects and how it fits, showing those films every month, changing. Sometimes our theme-focused programs, sometimes they are region-focused, Basque or Chilean or Brazilian. But it's definitely interesting, and we're very aware of that cabaret, of that circus element, of not being easy to be identified. Is the flexibility that we like, the WIDO movement. We have our own agenda of events, but it allows us also to be very flexible and go and team up with Nuriki or Take One Action or the Jazz Festival that came from a commission last year. So we quite like that element as well. It's been happening in the last couple of years. We put an agenda. It's been a long-term process. We brought the films that we show. That is, in a way, our mission statement, and people started to come and say, "Hey, we like what you do," and maybe we like the idea of Cinemaattic as a movement, as a space where people can come, experiment, program films, come with projects. So yeah, we have our own agenda every month. We welcome retrospectives, and we also collaborate with a lot of people.
Yeah, I like that you brought up the collaboration, because I saw every time I go back on your site, I see all these different organizations you're collaborating with. And eventually we'll be collaborating with Scalarama as well, So.
Exactly. Yes, Scalarama. I forgot about Morbid, sorry.
But yeah, so I mean, what benefits, again, is working with different other organizations like Late and Noiriki to what you do? I
think cinema in general is a collective endeavor, no? And it's made with people, and often you see that, and then there is an element of networking between the professionals that like to share those experiences, and it's back to that kind of defense of sharing films with people that we have. There is an obvious benefit from doing event or delivering with Late, which is sharing that vibe, that feeling that we can construct with others. Sometimes, I mean, there are also economic benefits, sharing fees, sharing efforts, sharing resources. But overall, I think towards, like in general, not just in the cinema industry, we go towards individualism. We need to reclaim that collaborative aspect, that social element, and we're very aware of it. And we sacrifice maybe resources, time, money to go and to do collaborations with other people.
Yes, well, I don't have much to add to that. It's great to collaborate with people. It's great to see how other people do things. It's great to feel that actually very important festivals and organizations like Take One Action, which we used to use as a model to follow, it calls you and says, hey, well, how would you like to do an event together? And that was a great day, and also the event went incredibly well. We sold out in Film House and GFT, but it's not, I don't know if we would have managed to do it by ourselves. Probably, why not? But it's much better the way we did it with Tamara, and the way Almudena Carracedo, one of the directors of the film, came over and enjoyed a full aspect of what's going on here in Scotland, no? So, yes, for definite, the future is in the mix, and we need to keep collaborating and working with nice people, interesting people.
That's another thing I really like. I saw some of the stuff you did with Manipulate, and there's master classes with SDI. You bring over the filmmakers, and you have Q&As, and there's so much of that kind of stuff going on. And I think that's what makes your film events even more powerful. Not always, but when you do, it's been great for me to see.
Exactly, and it's the same. It's back to resources.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we did a statement, and we said, right, we want to bring this proposal to institutions. We want to connect with the Scottish film industry, with institutions here, and we want to bring the authors. We want to be the creators, the filmmakers, and we're interested in the person and in the filmmaker. We want to ask, we want to interrogate, we want to share the ideas behind the processes. And most of those events, as you know, are for free, because we can do it with ECA or with Scottish Documentary Institute, or in Glasgow with the Uni, or with the Centre of Contemporary Arts.
That's great.
But it's a great element, and probably one that we don't get a lot of profit from it, but it's one of the ones that we're most proud of.
So if I laugh in the background, it's just hearing Alberto talking about business plans and profit. All of a sudden, I don't know. The truth is that this Basque Spring was made of 21 events. Out of them, 11 were for free. And there's a lot of value for in every angle you can imagine. The meeting the creator, the creative person, the creative mind behind a film before you watch the film. Or even like in this case with Anna Schultz, to watch the film before, discuss it with her, and then watch it again in a big screen. So with Carlos Santa in February was the same. It was a pleasure to have him here. He spent so much time in the art college talking about the structure of time and working in the workshops with the students of animation students of the BECA. So those are experiences that really are worth to be lived and to bring over. They cannot be obviously measured on financial terms. It's just something that is really good to do.
Absolutely, and for us it was a way like to meet our heroes in a way. Very basically, short filmmakers that nobody knows here have some prestige maybe in the festival circuit in Spain or amongst some circles, but reclaim the value of those filmmakers, bring them, let them speak about their work, and kind of review their cinematography.
I've run into you guys in some festivals as well. Do you travel a lot to different festivals to find some of these? How do you find your films that you program? Yeah.
I guess once again it's a not very economic way to do it, because most festivals would do a call for submissions, receive a lot of films, gather a team, and select. And we do what we start to call like the sniper style of programming, which is, we watch a lot of films in festivals. We ask, normally we are the ones that ask for screeners, for links. And when that creative connection happens, when that spark, when we say, this fantastic Brazilian film about trans moms will go really well with this Colombian film, or this German co-production, I think there are themes here that should be presented, as a body of work or as a program, and have a really good value. And then we go one by one to each sales agent or distributor and pay for the film individually, which is more costly. You spend more time, more money. But in the days, and we were talking about this earlier as well, in these days where a lot of powers are imposing us subtly sometimes what we need to see, or what we need to go to the cinema to watch. We think there is a value on that, on spending more time putting these films together and justifying and presenting to the audience why we put those films, and hopefully they can feel that when they see, they can see those connections.
So what's in store? What's up next, or certain things you are excited to think about in the summer and the fall for Cinemaattic?
Well, the first thing is that we have only one event left. Well, 2 in England, 2 in Scotland, middle of June, and then we close for 3 months just to catch up with family, relationships. My kids have every right to have a memory of their father as a young. But I mean, one thing we've been toying with the idea of certainly bringing a SCAT back. Yeah. The Catalan Film Festival will come back in the early winter, I don't know, late November, early December. We were toying with the idea of a special on revolutionary left, like really revolutionary 60s spirit. And there's a few names still kicking around alive and willing to talk and to still spark a bit of a different way to live. And I think in these days we are living in Europe. I think we should do it. We should just bring it over.
I think the programs are increasingly becoming more political, not necessarily just talking about politics or social, but also in the form, what we were saying before. And it's something that we're quite keen. I mean, there is an element of entertainment as well, and films that are funny, but we try to keep that balance. Sometimes this year has been a lot of region or country focused, but we're quite keen with getting back to the theme focus and bring a lot of different perspectives from different countries. The last event before the summer break is a focus on Chilean films, and there is a new wave of Chilean filmmakers, many, and we're reclaiming. It's been a particularly feminist year for us. We've been showing a lot of films made by women, and we haven't done the numbers yet, but it was around 50, 60 of the films we brought in the last year, and it's a lot of films, were directed by women, and you can see that in the case of Chile with Too Late to Die Young, for instance, by Dominga Sotomayor coming into cinemas. We're going to look at some of the earlier short films by Dominga, and again, there is that social element. There will be Chilean music, Chilean food, so it's a last party before summer, and it's a very Latin party. And then, as Rafa was saying, there are big ideas after the summer break. So there's a lot of rock and roll.
Go ahead.
No, it's when we talk about events as well. We are lucky that we have a team behind. I mean, the collaborations are not only with other film platforms. We, for example, work a lot with Fogón Latino, which are capable of cooking Colombian food and then Chilean food and then Nicaraguan food and then bring it to 4 different venues at once. So it's important the people behind us, all our, we call it the Cinematic family. It's about 20 to 30 people who, in one way or the other, come over, give a hand. They like what we do, and completely uninterested, they turn up and work. So it's not only Alberto and me. It's a very big collective. That's probably the best of it.
And when is the Chilean event again?
14th, 15th of June, am I right?
14th in 15th of June.
Yeah. 14th Glasgow, 15th Edinburgh, if I'm wrong. It's Thursday, Friday. Don't have the calendar in front, but I think it's 14th Thursday, Glasgow, 15th Edinburgh.
And how best do people find more about Cinemaattic?
We're everywhere, really. It's
find our website.
I guess. Website, cinemaattic.com.
Yeah, cinemaattic.com, AATT, because some people might get lost just with the traditional cinematic. There's AATT, cinema that was born in an attic. And we do Facebook, we do stories in Instagram. That's the new thing, apparently, you have to do stories and live. So yeah, we have a team that helps us with this, but we do Twitter. We're very active everywhere, so they can find us there. We're also persons, so they can jump in the street and say, hi, we like what you do.
Yeah. Can I talk about being paid a pint and talk forever about cinema? Either of us will do that.
Well, thank you both so much for coming, and we'll all hope to make it to your last summer event before the summer holiday, and then see you around
It's going to be huge.
in September for Scalorama too. You know, so
we already know roughly what we want to show.
Thanks again so much for coming. Bye.
Thank you for having us.
Okay,
Cheers.
bye.